It's a debate that won't go away, and after decades, opinions are still divided. Local council mergers are back on the agenda. Some candidates are even prepared to vote themselves out of a job. But do people really care? So far, only 41% of voters have returned their postal votes. That's slightly fewer than in the last elections. The areas with the lowest participation are the 4 southern municipal areas: Kingborough, Hobart, Clarence and Glenorchy. Tamara Glumac reports.
Their photos are plastered on billboards across Tasmania. More than 400 candidates are running for councillor, mayor or deputy mayor in the latest round of local government elections. The polls opened last week after an election campaign that's seen debate emerge again about council mergers.
We've been talking about it for so long, and it's time to make a move.
At the end of the day, the communities aren't crying out for mergers. They haven't been approaching councils to say, you should amalgamate.
Tasmania has 29 councils for a population of around 500,000 people. For years it's been suggested the number of councils be halved.
What do we want? Stop amalgamation! When do we want it? Now!
The debate reached fever pitch in 1998 when the then Rundle minority government tried to force amalgamations.
Although the government is sympathetic to all of the communities and their particular concerns, our job as the government is to look at the big picture, to look at what we believe is best for the state of Tasmania.
The merger push is cited as one of the reasons for the demise of the Rundle government. But more than a decade on, that hasn't stopped a handful of local council candidates running with a merger mandate. Candidates like Hobart's Leo Foley are prepared to fall on their sword if elected.
I am prepared to give up my job if I get this through because it's good for Tasmania, and if I get elected, I'll be the very first one to put my job on the line next time.
I think if we can form a greater northern municipality, every one of us has got to be prepared to put their job on the line. I certainly would be if I'm elected.
Launceston City Council candidate Tony Bennyworth believes self-interest has been a major barrier to mergers.
We all like our own little bailiwick, and there's a lot of people around, I think, that would be trying to protect their own backsides, frankly.
A recent statewide poll showed strong support for local government reform, with 69% in favour of mergers. An independent review of the state's 12 southern councils has also revealed a desire for change. More than 260 submissions have been received by the review panel, which is expected to release its final report to the Southern Tasmanian Councils Authority next week.
We are very much seeing a community groundswell of wanting things to change. And we also think that local government itself is seeing an opportunity for being stronger.
It's a sentiment echoed by some electors.
We need to amalgamate, save heaps of money and just make planning legislation so much easier across the state, I think.
I think there's too much government, in general.
Tasmanians are so parochial and maybe it will do us good.
Glenorchy Alderman Jenny Branch is anti-amalgamations.
Local communities value local connections, and that's what local government gives them. If we take away that, say we put into a Greater Hobart City Council, what is going to happen to people this side of the Creek Road, that line we all talk about?
Alderman Branch fears smaller councils will get lost in mergers.
It could be that, a little area like the Huon Valley merged into a bigger council gets less services than they can because they haven't got the voice there.
The Local Government Association says there are reasons mergers haven't happened, despite the years of debate.
Councils haven't yet been shown evidence to suggest that they should be merged. Councils have tried to do things together. They do their resource sharing. There's been at least one attempt at a voluntary merger.
Resource sharing is one alternative councils are turning to.
It largely goes from sharing a general manager, a couple of councils do that, through to other councils sharing equipment, some councils providing services like financial support.
Brighton Council, north of Hobart, began contracting out services about 5 years ago to improve its own financial position and help out other councils. Its planning offices are used by Glamorgan Spring Bay, the Central Highlands and Flinders Island. The council also shares heavy machinery, IT software and accounting services. But not everyone sees resource sharing as the answer.
I know there is a model where we can share resources between the councils, but there's not enough of it and it's too slow.
I think some councils are probably making a very good attempt at resource sharing, so that it does allay some of the arguments then for mergers.
So is an end to the debate in sight, or is more input needed from Tasmanian ratepayers? Only 55% bothered to vote in the last round of local government elections. The state's Electoral Commission says that's been a consistent trend, with similar numbers expected this year.
And voters have until 10 a.m. on Tuesday to return their ballots to the Electoral Commission.